And we're going to be making our jam or mock cran that we can use as our dressing for our turkey or chicken or ham for Christmas. So we're taking out the seeds so that we end up with just this piece. So when we boil this, we'll strain out the water that we use for our juice, and then we will use the pulp to make the jam. Now some people don't usually take all the seeds to boil their sorrel, but if you want to make the jam, you have to remove the seeds so that when you strain it, you just end up with the pulp. Right. Here we have our 3 pounds of sorrel. To that we added 4 bay leaves, 2 to 3 inches of ginger that has been cut up, and we're going to put in some spices. 1/4 teaspoon of clove powder, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg ground, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and stir it all together, cover and allow to boil. Our sorrel really boiling. We want to leave it to boil for about 15 minutes or so. Remember we added the 4 bay leaves, the 2 to 3 inches of ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg powder, 1/4 teaspoon of clove powder, and your teaspoon of cinnamon powder. The reason we added the powders instead of the actual hard spice is because we are going to be blending the pulp, right? So we'll be removing the bay leaves, but the ginger pieces will remain in. So the other spices already in powder, they will just, add to the flavor. Okay, so here we strained off our sorrel liquid, and we have the pulp here, and we're going to remove the 4 leaves of bay leaf, right? And this pulp is what we will now blend to make the actual sorrel pulp paste for our jam. So we put our sorrel pulp now into our food processor. Now you can use a bullet or a blender, depends on how smooth you want it. I like it a bit textured, so I would use a food processor. And you let that go until you get the consistency you want. So you may need to add back about a cup of liquid to get it going and to make sure that it is properly blended. Alright, so we see we have a nice paste there that we'll now add. I add 1 cup of sugar and taste. Remember, you could always add sugar, but if you put too much, you can't take it out. So start off with 1 cup. So now I'm going to just put this in a pot and add 1 cup of sugar. This doesn't need any other herbs or spices because it already has ginger, the bay leaf that was steeped with the water, your cinnamon, your nutmeg. Alright? Right, so now we're adding the 1 cup of sugar. And remember, we started off with 3 pounds of sorrel. We removed the seed, we boiled it, we left it to steep. You could leave it for the day, you could leave it overnight, and then we strain and used a food processor. You could use a bullet or a blender and bring it down to this consistency. You add back about a cup of the liquid so that it will come together into this kind of thick paste, and you put 1 cup of sugar in. When it starts to boil and it's melted in, you will taste and decide if you want to add more sugar, right? And when this comes down, that's it. That's your sorrel jam for your turkey, ham, chicken, our mock cranberry sauce. After cooking for about half an hour, most of the liquid has dried up, but we don't want it to get over thick like a jam. It must remain a little like a sauce, right? So this is our mock cranberry, which is our sorrel sauce, right? So here we have it with some chicken breasts on a bed of lettuce leaves that you can enjoy. So there we have it, guys. Make it homemade, make it healthy, make it totally local. Well, almost.